Can helicopters fly in high winds? This is one of the questions I get asked quite a few times over the last few years, certainly in my day job as a helicopter pilot. So can they fly in high winds? Well, yes, they can, up to a certain point. It really depends on the type of helicopter. Each helicopter will have a performance limitation in terms of weather limits, for example, in particular winds. Now, this will change and this will be different from helicopter to helicopter. It might have an overall limitation on wind. It might have an overall limitation on turbulence. So whether it can only fly in light turbulence, for example, it can't fly in moderate or high turbulence or higher levels of turbulence. So it really depends on the type of helicopter that it is and what limitation is imposed upon it in the flight manual by the manufacturers and what it's been tested to. Now, obviously, there's always going to be some kind of buffer there. But in terms of a margin of error, let's say a margin of safety, but let's just say, for example, the helicopter that I fly, the wind limitation is really on the stopping and starting of the main rotor, and that's a 50 knot wind limitation. That's on the helicopter that I fly, and other helicopters might have a different limitation of wind speed. Some helicopters will have a wind limitation on the overall operation of that helicopter, and it might be 70, 80 knot wind limitation, for example. I'm just picking these figures out of the air right now. There might be operational wind limitations. Let's say a particular operator, a particular company might say, we don't want any of our helicopters flying in 70 knots or more. Let's just say other operators might say, well, you can fly in 70 or 80 knots winds, but to load and unload passengers with the rotors turning, then you can't be anything more than 50 knots. If you're landing on an unsteady deck, then you can't be more than 50 knots, 40 knots or something like that. When I talk about an unsteady deck, a heli deck, let's say if you're landing on a ship or something like that. So there are going to be various wind limitations according to the manufacturer type. There'll also be wind limitations according to a particular flight maneuver in terms of flying rearwards or having a rearward tailwind, having crosswinds, that kind of thing. So there are going to be lots of wind limitations on a helicopter, but in basic principle, the higher the wind, the more restriction that you're going to have on a helicopter. In terms of high crosswinds and high tailwinds, that adversely affects the helicopter as it wants to fly, as you want to take off. If you've got a headwind of any note, a headwind, that will be of benefit. It'll be a very dynamic benefit to the helicopter, but there will come a time where there'll be an adverse effect aerodynamically. So again, in terms of turbulence, in terms of affecting the blade travel, in terms of the amount of turbulence over the blades, retreating blades, all that kind of thing, at higher speeds, and let's just say if you're getting turbulence or wind gusts at higher speeds, then that could induce some aerodynamic effects on the main rotor as well. So can helicopters fly in high winds? Yes, but there's always going to be a limitation, and it really depends on what helicopter type. Now, the second question, the follow-up question to this would be, can they fly in thunderstorms or around thunderstorms? Well, again, it's the wind, but also it's the what else is in that thunderstorm. So you're going to have lightning, potentially you're going to have hailstones. Depends, you might have even really big hailstones. Depends on where you are in the world and what kind of atmospheric event is taking place. And obviously, very high winds, but also very high updrafts and downdrafts in thunderstorms. And also wind shear, so that can be very dangerous. So flying in thunderstorms as for a helicopter pilot, especially lighter helicopters, but all helicopters to a certain degree, is not a good idea. I mean, the general rules that you want to avoid flying around any thunderstorm at all. Give it, it's certainly a vertically developed cumulonimbus clouds, towering cumulus with thunderstorm activity. Then you want to try and give it a good 20 nautical mile radius or distance away, and that's usually just for, you know, lots of wind, lots of turbulence, but also any potential of large hail being thrown out of those thunderstorms as well. So it's one of those things that, yes, depending on, we can fly around thunderstorms if we can get quite close to them, but in terms of flying through them, no, that's something that we would never want to do, and it will be something that if we are surrounded by thunderstorms and they're all active and they're closing in around us, we'll be looking to try and land as soon as possible in that event. Now, obviously, if there's nowhere to land, for example, then it might be a case that you have no other option, but that really comes down to poor planning and poor alternative choices, that kind of thing as well. So yes, we can fly in high winds up to a certain point. Turbulence will have a big factor. The overall limitations set by the manufacturer will be another factor as well. And then other weather issues in terms of turbulence, hailstorms, a wind shear, thunderstorms in general. That's something that you would really want to try and avoid as a helicopter pilot. Anyway, hope you found that useful. And if you like what I do here, keep on watching the videos. And I'll catch you again. Bye now.